We're getting a sense and a feel for just how important everything we have going on is at this particular moment. And what I'd like to do is go over the quiz from yesterday, or from this morning, I'm sorry, and get that rocking. The grades are pretty good. Nobody got under a 67. There were only a handful of those. Almost everybody got 100. So the grades were excellent. Which statement is not always true? The product of two irrationals is irrational is not always true. And we look at for an example, is the square root of 5 rational or irrational?
Irrational.
Irrational, because it's not a perfect root. What about square root of 20?
Irrational.
Irrational. If I multiply them, square root of 5 times square root of 20, square root of 100. What is the square root of 100? 10. So that would be an irrational times an irrational, giving me a rational. Therefore, choice 1 is not always true. Each of the others is always true. This one we've been over several times this year. I think every person in the place got it right. It's choice 2. And this guy, I think everybody got it right. Right? I did it with the factoring approach. Yes, you could add the 100, divide by 4, and square root it. But yeah, you could go calculator it, root it, and so on and so forth. But I do like when the default way of doing things is to do it with factoring, because a lot of the times you can't do it any other way except quadratic formula or completing the square. And if it works out to whole numbers, as these choices do, factoring will always be effective. All right, any questions on that? Okay, so let's get out yesterday's work and start going through it. Now, the skill for the day yesterday was solving with your calculator. Sometimes, particularly with multiple choice questions, you get equations to solve that maybe you don't see the right answer to right away. When that happens, you can cheat the system with your calculator. And today is all about how to cheat the system. Let me explain. Okay, so first off, when I looked at this one, I said to myself, okay, I could do the quadratic formula. And I started doing the quadratic formula. I could keep on going, blah, blah, blah. But then I said, hey, wait a minute. Why would I do the quadratic formula when it's already set up like completing the square? So I went over here and I did it with completing the square. And the only tricky part of this, I think, because they already give you the x minus 4 squared, is to remember that in order to make, they give you x squared minus 8x. You got to half it and square it. But the square root of 40 gives us trouble sometimes. So I had to break that down and look for the biggest perfect square that divides into 40. It's 4. So it's 2 radical 10. But we both know that there are some people in here who are very good at that, and there are some people in here who are not. So what could the people who are not good at it still manage to do to find a way to get it right? Well, the question is how? And there are several different levels at which we could do this. So let's talk about all of them on your calculator. Where is my, there we go. Here's my calculator. And I will do it up on the screen for you. But I'm going to need you to help me remember what the parts are. Validate my software license. Go ahead. It better approve. All right, good. All right, so let's go to y equals. And in the y equals button, here we go. Thank you. Now, in this y equals button, I have to put my glasses on to do this. I'm going to clear this out. Clear. All right, so what's the equation again, Anthony?
4x squared minus 100.
No. We're doing the first one on yesterday's sheet. Yeah. What is the first? What is that equation? I think I have it right here. Oh, good, I do. X squared minus 8x, and it wants us to equal 24. So I'm going to type in x squared. Here it is. Here's my x squared and then what is it now? Minus 8x minus 8x.
Equals 24.
Yeah, but I'm not going to write that. I'm going to go to y2, and I'm going to write 24. Okay? So in other words, I take the first equation will be the left-hand side of the equal sign, and the second equation will be the right-hand side of the equal sign, and then I am going to go to graph. All right, so it doesn't look good with the window right now. So let's change the window a little bit. Window, and let's go x min, I'll go -5. X maximum, oh. Window. I'm going to go, I'll go 20 instead. X scales 1. Y minimum, I'm going to go let's go -20. And Y maximum, let's go, oh, why is this doing this? Y maximum, let's go 30 on the Y max. And let's graph, and let's see what it looks like now. Okay, good. So I want to find, see, this is the graph of the parabola for the first graph, and this is the 24. Here are my solutions wherever they cross each other. That means it satisfies both equations. So now I'm going to go to, God bless, I'm going to go to calc, and I'm going to do an intersect, which is 5. All right, so where's the little blinking bug?
It's at the bottom of the curve.
Yeah. Come on, keep going. I want to get near that point on the left. And see how it says first curve? I'm going to hit enter. Then it says second curve, enter. I'll hit enter again. And then guess, enter. Now, let's write this number down. X is equal to -2.324. So we could just put it down. Somebody write that down. X equals -2.324. Okay? Now let's go over here and let's do it again. Ready? Second, calc. Now this would be really easy if everything went in the table with whole numbers, but it doesn't. Now I'm going to go for the point all the way on the right here. All right, so I'll hit enter. And then second curve, I'll hit enter. Guess enter. And this time it says 10.324. Now, let's go back to those choices. The correct answer on this guy was, I think, choice 3. Right? I'm pretty sure. Right? Wasn't it? 4 plus or minus 2 radical 10. No, it wasn't. It was over here. It was choice 1. 4 plus or minus 2 radical 10. Now, everybody take your calculator and do 4 plus 2 times the square root of 10. 4 plus 2 times the square root of 10. And what do you get as your value? Anthony?
10.32455.
And that's exactly what we just came out with by doing the graphing intersect. So if you have a really hard time with this, and then you could also do the minus, and the minus would work too. So here's what I mean about cheating the system. If you have a very difficult time with completing the square, or if you have a very difficult time with, say, anything involving the radicals, you can do it out with your calculator and come out with a decimal. And then you can try each of the choices as decimals and see which ones match. If they do, then you have your correct answer. Does that make sense, everybody?
Yes.
All right? So without ever really learning the skill you're supposed to learn, which is how to master radicals, and I really strongly suggest you do that. You come to Extra Help, you learn the right way to do things. Because if not, it's going to haunt you in the future. But if you're stuck, by all means, use the decimal equivalents with the choices. All right, any questions? All right. Now we have this guy down here. Okay, this is pretty straightforward factoring, etc. But I could graph it and find the points of intersection if I wanted to. All right, so this talks a little bit about circling keywords with some of these problems. All right, and there's the last one there. Any questions?
Nope.
All right, let's go to the next page. I'm still a little off my game after all of that traveling yesterday, so some of these I kind of started in one direction and then switched gears. All right, do we have any questions on these guys here? You could do that decimal trick again with number 2 up top there if it's driving you crazy. On that number 30, be very careful. I circled that keyword integer, right? And then you have to remember when you multiply or divide an inequality by a negative, you need to switch that symbol. That's the little writing in blue I did over there. Okay. You could have also, by the way, done W and 1/2 W. It'll work out the same. Okay. You would have gotten 8.2 if you did it that way, but it wants the width, and the width is half of the 8.2, which would be 4.1. All right, so are there any questions on this page? No, we're good? By all means, if you have questions, make sure you stop and ask them. Very important. Okay. Now, this one here, this number 7 is tricky. Look, trial and error. Plug in all the choices, see which one works. But the best explanation I could do after fudging around a little bit here, 16 to the 2t is 16 squared to the t power. 4 to the 4t is 4 to the 4th power to the t power. So they're both to the t. What we had to recognize is that 16 squared is 256 and 4 to the 4th is also 256. That's probably the best way to understand which way it goes. Or you could plug it in trial and error and see how it works. Okay? I certainly hope the last question on this page is extremely easy for you. It should be. Okay, any questions? Okay, next up. Any questions here so far? I just think number 10 I think is easiest with trial and error. Are we good? All right. I'm a little bit confused myself on the very first one. I don't know if they would want you to write 5% or negative 5%, negative meaning it's going down. I would imagine the state would accept both of those answers. So I think if you put 5%, I think you'll be okay, because it is changing by 5%. On the next one down after that, what I did was I graphed it. I looked at which one I thought was on there, and then I checked the slope between the points for each of them, and the slopes came out the same, so then I knew it was on the point, or on the line. Okay? This first question over here, this number 16, I personally found this to be a really hard question the first time I ever did it. And the only way I could think of to do it was to trial and error it. And if you knew what one was, you had to put in the other. At first, I used to try to do it with simultaneous equations and things, and I don't think there's enough information to do it that way. So you have to set it up, trial it and error it, and work it out. When I say hard, I don't mean like difficult to understand. I mean just tedious, annoying, kind of hard. All right? Any other questions on this page? We're good? Carissa, you with me on this stuff?
Yeah.
You look like you're not as sharp as you usually are.
No.
No, or you got that right, Mr. Lindquist, and I'm about to really get super sharp now?
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. Rock it out. All right. So here we go. Oh, before I forget, would you guys like to do me a favor on your cell phones for a minute?
I didn't bring my cell phone.
All right, if you have it, take it out.
Okay, I don't bring every time you ask your phone, I don't have it.
All right, well,
Yeah, every time you say.
all right.
your phone.
So if you have your phone with you, I'll let you do this now. Get onto Facebook.
I don't have Facebook.
Get onto Facebook on your phone.
When you screenshot your old pictures.
No, I'm not going to put you. I told you I won't friend you until after I retire. So if you send me a friend request on the day after school ends next year, I will friend you, but I won't do it on this day. Now, but you can go to my new Facebook page and like it. Man's Best Friend Photography.
What's that?
That's the name of my business.
What if you don't use Facebook?
Well, then don't do it. But I want you to like my page, because when I get up to 100 likes, I get certain rewards and so on and so forth. So, I already have like 70 likes, and I only put it up at 11 o'clock last night. My website is mansbestfriend.com.
70 likes.
So but if you go to the Facebook one, it's MAN''S, Man's Best Friend, and just go to that page and hit like, and then you can start following it. And at least 4 or 5 days a week, I'll put up pictures of puppies and fly fishing and
Man's best friend.
the website is .com. Okay, so that shouldn't be it. All right, so anyway, we're good. Put that away now. Back to math. All right, check out your answers here. All phones always, Sarah E.
Alright, you didn't work on anything.
Here we go. If it got stuck, if you go on Facebook at your own leisure and just type in Man's Best Friend Photography, it'll take you to the page. Because I wish they'd just let you invite all your friends, but they didn't. You gotta hit invite. I have like 1,000 friends on Facebook. I gotta hit invite every single time to send an invitation to them to like the page. So I just want to spread word of mouth and have people like the page. All right, so here we go. Any question on this guy? The big thing in this one, hey, here's where the kids are going to make mistakes. Ready? This better be an open circle right here. Because look up here. See how you're not allowed to equal?
Yes.
So that has to be an open circle. This one is allowed to equal it, so it's a filled-in circle. Bless you. Okay? Scanning 7. Come on. This seems so easy to me, I keep thinking I got it wrong.
That's me in math, please.
Yeah, right? It's like, how could it be this simple? All right, so you go 60 miles an hour for 2 hours. I mean, one little tricky thing here is each line is not an hour. It takes 2 lines to be an hour. So 60 in 1 hour, 60 in another hour. Then he gets a flat for 30 minutes. And then he goes 30 miles in an hour. And from here, I got to go 2 bars to be an hour. So it's right. It's just extremely simple. I hope the whole test is made up of questions like that. This one, on the other hand, I had a hard time being neat about. But it's not too bad. I didn't even answer the question here. It says, which function has a greater value when x is 20? And it would be the blue function, because the blue function is getting bigger faster. That's the exponential function. The exponential function is the g of x function. Okay? All right. Any questions on that? We just did this question the other day.
And it was also on the take-home test and the last packet.
Yes, and speaking of take home, did you see when you came in, there's that little quiz there?
Let me guess. That's also take home too, right?
Yes, and it's due in 2 days.
What?
2 days.
It's
It's a quiz. It's only like 6 questions, 8 questions. It's easy. All right, it's not a big deal. Okay, so that other sheet you picked up, hey, hello. Yeah, that other sheet you picked up. Yeah, you picked it up when you came in. Whatever it is, it's due 2 days. So today's Tuesday, it'll be due Thursday.
You mean this one?
Yes, the one as you came in. Okay, I'm going to have a hard time explaining this one to you. This is an extremely tricky question. Insidiously tricky. I think most people will put choice 1. It's not choice 1. It'll often be choice 1, but not in this one.
Is it
Look.
the same answer as it was on the test?
This was on a take-home test?
Yeah.
You sure?
Well, the first one was.
Oh, the first one, yeah, this is choice 2. I don't think this is hard. All right. This, on the other hand, is difficult and very, very tricky. I make sure you're paying attention because this will trip up almost every kid in the class. Here's 20 scores. It adds this astronomically big one for a 25th score. It's bigger than any other score on the page. And the question is, what's going to happen? And the instinct is to say, well, since this is going to go to the end of the chart, the median and the mean are going to increase. And the mean is definitely going to increase because you're adding a bigger number into the lot. So the average will go up. However, the median will not go up. And here's why. There's an even number of scores here. So the median will be the 10th and 11th score averaged, which is 1.4. When I add one more to the end, instead of it being the average of these two, it becomes this score right here. Because that'll give me 12 before it and 12 after it. But isn't that the same exact score? 1.4 in both cases. So it's very tricky that it works out to be the median. Now, if you wanted to, you could simply enter the list into your calculator. It's a lot of numbers to enter, but you could do it. And then you could find the mean and you could find the median. And then you could write them down. Then you could add the next number that they want put in. And it's just adding one more at the end of the list. You don't have to type them all in again. And then again look at the median and the mean. And you would see that only the mean increases. And that the median stays the same. Okay? And last but not least, okay? So are there any questions? All right, so listen. Again, I can't emphasize it enough. It's not enough to just do the work. You have to learn from your mistakes. I have a pitcher on my softball team, Emily Hess. She's very talented. She's got a lot of ability. And she throws hard. But she stinks at a changeup right now. And yesterday we called about 10 changeups in the game. And she only threw 1 or 2 good ones. The other ones were all bad. But she's getting better. And I said to her, I said, listen, let's take 1 step back now to take 3 steps forward in the future. You will make mistakes during review. It's guaranteed to happen. If you keep a record of them and learn from your mistakes, you will take 3, 4, 5 steps forward on your test grade. Now is the time to make mistakes. It's okay to make them. It's not the end of the world. You just need to keep a record and learn from them. Okay? Any questions? All right, so get to work. 2 and 2.
Hey, it's like Beatles the test sheet.